Good evening and a very warm welcome to Television Tonga's news package for tonight. Making headlines, Minister of Finance and National Planning dismissed from his post to be effective at the end of today's working hours. People from the Northern Islands are well prepared for the upcoming tropical cyclone Ian, and a 4-year-old boy dies after falling into a well. These and more stories later on in this bulletin, together with the latest from around the region, sports, and the latest weather. Here's your news in details. A letter of revocation of the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Lisette Akolo's appointment, has been submitted to His Majesty King Debold VI as a form of courtesy before the dismissal letter is delivered to Mr. Akolo. The acting Chief Secretary and Secretary to Cabinet, Alot Batlu, told Radio and Television Tonga News that the Prime Minister, Lord Duano's decision to dismiss Akolo from his ministerial post will be effective at the end of today's working hours. The constitutional rights to sack a minister are within the authority of the Prime Minister. The sacking of Mr. Akolo from his post as the Minister of Finance comes after he received a letter from the Prime Minister on Monday this week demanding him to resign from his post by Wednesday this week. The decision was based on the Prime Minister's disappointment over Akolo's performance and how he handled his duties. This morning, the acting Chief Secretary and Secretary to Cabinet says they have received a letter from Akolo outlining reasons why he does not wish to resign from his post. Meanwhile, Mr. Akolo in a press conference this morning told reporters the truth is he has not resigned from his post as the Minister of Finance because he believes that he has not violated any Cabinet's decision. The letter from the Prime Minister states his dissatisfaction over my role as a Finance Minister. I might say that the words used in his letter were very strong. It includes the using of the word not willing to give in to the Prime Minister and his Cabinet's decision and not willing to work together with the Cabinet members. The problem, in my opinion, is that the letter does not clearly state or pinpoint on what matter I was alleged with those allegations. I believe there is a misunderstanding because I have done my best to fulfill my duty as a Minister of Finance. Meanwhile, the Honourable Minister of Justice, Clive Atwood, says teamwork is very crucial, especially when it refers to the nature of what prompted the Prime Minister's decision towards the former Minister of Finance. No one accepts the reality that one has been sacked or told to resign, but this is the normal procedures used by any form of government or in any political line of work. Teamwork must always be on practice between leaders, because when there are differences or when one is making a mistake, that person will be in any case useless in that particular government. For instance, if I had differences with the members of Cabinet, they have every right to tell me to go home. However, Mr. Akolo says he does not understand what he violated, but according to the letter from the Prime Minister, it stated that he was not willing to work together with the Cabinet. Probably my letter was very insensitive because I clearly stated in my letter to the Prime Minister that it comes to a time where we are like Korea or Cuba to practice dictatorship, or if I may say, but I'm not sure whether if that's the right word to use. This is important to me because we're moving into a more democratic country and everyone must be given the right to reply if any allegations made and to balance information. These issues should be addressed by the government leaders and the Member of Parliament. The Honourable Minister of Justice says the former Minister of Finance and National Planning was given enough time to reply to the Prime Minister's letter. The reasons for the Prime Minister's decision towards the Finance Minister was clearly outlined on the Prime Minister's letter. If Akolo believed that the letter was untruthful, he then should reply to it highlighting which part he believes that is not correct in regards to his ministerial role. What Akolo did was not right because he has already been given enough time and a deadline to reply, but did not follow suit. During the press conference, Akolo says he was surprised that the Prime Minister also brought up in Cabinet that he ordered Mr. Akolo to resign from his portfolio because the Prime Minister has the legal rights to dismiss or sack any minister without Cabinet members' interference. Mr. Akolo states that although the Prime Minister is already acting on the post as Minister of Finance, he is still the lawful minister until he is dismissed. Meanwhile, the Office of the Prime Minister have not released any official decision to appoint anyone to the portfolio, but according to the law, the Honourable Prime Minister automatically will be acting on that particular ministerial post until he makes a substantive appointment. A 4-year-old boy has died after he fell into a well located in his home in Bea in the weekend. The post-mortem revealed that the deceased died from severe injuries to his head after he fell into the well. According to information from the Ministry of Police, the child was playing around the well whilst his household was busy with food preparations for a family occasion last Saturday. The family then heard a sound of an object falling into the well and realized the young boy had disappeared. The family tried to rescue him, but unfortunately the young boy passed away. Meanwhile, police were satisfied with the results of the post-mortem, saying the incident was not a suspicious case. The deceased was later released to the family on Monday. Moreover, the depth of the water well is about 60 feet deep. The Category 4 storm tropical cyclone Ian is expected near Vava'o later today or early tomorrow morning. Information from the director of the Whamotu Tropical Cyclone Warning Center of Whanunu says the speed of the cyclone is gradually increasing. Tropical cyclone Ian is also moving away from Niuafo'ou towards Vava'o. Mr. Whanunu says at present a hurricane warning has been put in force for the Vava'o group.
Severe tropical cyclone Ian, Category 4, is now located about 170 kilometers south of Niuafo'ou, moving southeast at about 4 knots this morning towards the Vava'o group. Last night, the cyclone remained slow moving around southwest of Niuafo'ou. It tracked a little bit to the east overnight, but very slowly. It's just in the last couple of hours that there's some indication now that the cyclone is starting to accelerate a bit, and we expect it to move a little bit quicker than it has been doing in the last few days as it approaches the Vava'o group from the northwest. At the moment, we have hurricane warnings out for Vava'o and storm warnings for Hapai. We are still holding gale warnings for Niuafo'ou, but gradually that should decrease today as the cyclone moves away from that island. Tongatapu, we still put them on tropical cyclone alert. We're still not clear of the forecast track of tropical cyclone Ian, but that is the latest information right now. It looks like the cyclone is picked up speed. It's moving a little bit quicker now, just by observation, probably around 6 to 7 knots now, moving southeast. But we'll be able to confirm that in the next couple of hours. We'll expect the cyclone to be close to Vava'o sometime this evening or earlier in late afternoon if it continues to move to accelerate any further.
The director of the Met Center of Whanunu also calls on the public to be well prepared for the severe cyclone because it is strong. Its winds is estimated at 90 knots near its centre, with momentary gusts of up to 125 knots. Mr. Whanonu also states that although the cyclone is moving towards Vava'o, its forecast track is not clear, but it is vital for all the people in Tonga to be prepared because the cyclone is bringing damaging winds. People in the islands of Vava'o and Hawaii are well prepared for the upcoming tropical cyclone Ian, although they have not witnessed any signs of the storm. Radio and Television Tonga's correspondent in Vava'o, Lotobiko Tapolelu, says the island had experienced heavy occasional rains since the beginning of this week. He also reported that many people have prepared for the storm by purchasing candles and food supplies. Meanwhile, our radio and television correspondent in Hawaii, Mumefawa, says the island has experienced few brief showers, but lately it was a bit sunny. However, Bensiman Tonga from Nu'ufo'o says the people in the island are hoping that Cyclone Ian is over. He aired last night they had experienced casting which has caused a bit damage and a few fallen trees. The Ministry of Internal Affairs hope to get more monetary assistance from Cabinet to help out with its workers in seasonal work scheme to Australia and New Zealand. Sinlatu tells you more.
The Ministry of Internal Affairs Chief Executive Officer Lopeti Sentuli told Radio and Television Tonga News they plan to make a submission to Cabinet this month for assistance. We hope to get 400,000 pa'anga. That money will be used for 2 liaison officers for Australia, similar to the 2 officers in New Zealand. The officers that will be appointed for Australia will also deal with the seasonal workers' problems and differences with its employers, amongst other things. Meanwhile, they also hope the assistance will help double the number of seasonal workers who will benefit from the scheme this year. Last year, 1,600 fruit pickers were sent to New Zealand and 1,200 were sent to Australia, whilst 1,500 names were in the waiting list in the office. The ministry is planning a program or initiative that will help introduce our seasonal workers to these 2 countries, especially to Australia. Meanwhile, the second part of the planned submission to Cabinet includes seeking some duty concession for the containers loads of household goods that the fruit pickers ship over for their families. For Television Tonga News, I'm Sinilato.
The sea transport and domestic air services has been disrupted due to the cyclone warning in force for the outer islands. The domestic air carrier Real Tonga is cancelling its flights to Vava'o today. Meanwhile, the MV Otonga Ofa was expected to travel back to Nuku'alofa yesterday, but has been delayed for 2 days due to the weather conditions. CEO of the Friendly Island Shipping Agency, FISA, who managed the operations of MV Otonga Ofa, Vagautapolavi, says the vessel is currently docking at Paspolangi Wharf in Niuatotapu. Mr. B also told Radio and Television Tonga News that about 200 passengers were about to return on the vessel from Niuatotapu. And that's the local news. Pacific is up next.